This meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sarah, could you do roll call, please?
President Bucher,
Here.
trustee Barheit.
Here.
Trustee Brooks.
Here.
Trustee Polly,
Here.
trustee Faber,
Here.
trustee Hopkins.
Here.
And trustee Gant.
Here.
Thank you.
Did we meet open meeting compliance?
The agenda was posted online and on the village website on Thursday, December 11th.
Great. Trustees, do I have approval of the agenda sequence?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Public comments, please address the board. There will be no back and forth discussions and there's a 3-minute limit. Mr. Woodkey, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
James Woodkey, 22416 88th Street, Salem, Wisconsin. Couple of quick points I'll say. Last meeting, you guys talked for a long time about the conditional use permit for the fairground area. I think maybe if a staff member had gotten involved in it and brought to you guys most of what you tried to iron out and come up with a number. Because I just wanted, many times, just wanted to stand up and say, just say 500 people, come on, get it over with, pick your number. But, you know, I know you guys can't get together and talk about it, you know, ahead of time per se, but you can at least give some feedback to a point person and come up with a lot of these things beforehand instead of spending so much time in the meeting. Let's see, the other one was, yeah, I'm gonna be running for village board trustee. And I think that maybe I'm crazy, but at least looking at my tax bill, it wasn't so devastating in terms of the increase. And then when the TIF was left off, the world was melting down basically online because they were expecting hundreds and hundreds of dollars to go up. I think mine went up like $33 or something from the original to the correct number for the tax bill. So that wasn't so bad, and under 20% raise for the village. I don't think that was too bad either. Still a lot of money, and I don't want to pay much more, but that 20% was $313. That's not bad. I mean, realistically. So I'm not saying I don't want to pay more money. Absolutely not. I like paying less, but it wasn't that bad. So I'm kind of glad it worked out that way. Hopefully other people had similar situations, but you know, differs for everybody.
Thank you. Okay, number 7, president's comments. The first is that our fire department has changed the 12th night celebration to January 5th and not the 6th. They had the wrong date. So there is no need for us to change the EDC in the village board meeting to the 7th. So if it is, we would like to have the meetings on the 6th, the normal date. Does anyone have any objections to that? All right, so I am going to make a motion to change the EDC and village board meetings back to January 6th, the original date.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay. The second thing that I have is that an update to the ordinances for clerk and treasurer and administrator. currently, we think that the clerk and treasurer report to the board. And we would like to change that to have them to report to the administrator. And I understand this is a common practice in villages across the state. Am I correct in that, Jay?
Yes. That's the norm throughout the state.
Okay. And part of that would be that we will not have to reappoint them on a yearly basis. So we would need to update both ordinances for that. And that's going to take some legal review, obviously, but also because the clerk and treasurer ordinance was a charter ordinance, I'm not sure if we would have to go through that again with posting and all of that, or if it's just a simple. And then when we update, I think that it needs to be clear who the clerk and treasurer report to, because it doesn't technically say that in the ordinance. Open it up for comments.
I agree.
I got a question.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be, and not reporting to the administrator, it'd be more like not appointing them every year. I think that would safeguard us better with an appointment than having them as a regular employee, because that's what they would end up being, correct?
Correct.
And so, Madam President, I think what we can do is we can look into the legal options here and then come back and present it, and then you can continue your deliberations and take action.
Okay. That is fine.
The reason it was changed is initially, the clerk and the treasurer can be elected.
Mhm.
And then when we were town, we changed that to an appointed position, so
Correct.
I'm fine with.
And they would still be appointed by the board.
But answer to the
But
administrator.
answer to the,
Or-
correct, they're correct. They report to the administrator.
I don't mind it, but reporting to administrator, I would just like to see us make sure we appoint him every year. I think that, then I'd like his suggestion, we'll see what the legal ramifications are of that.
So Ramsey, if you can look and see what some other examples are
Yeah.
for villages across the state. And because it's my understanding that that's a common thing for villages for the clerk and treasurer to report to the administrator. And then bring those back. And I think the administrator right now, it really just says that they are responsible for the administrative direction and coordination of all employees of the village. So I don't even know if that one would have to be, but you can take a look and let us know. Okay. Great. All right, number 8, trustee comments, reports and requests. 8.1, public safety liaison update.
Starting off with Kenosha County Sheriff's Department, we had a total of 444 calls, 21 arrests. Year to date, we're at 5,881 calls with 258 arrests in the village. From the fire department here in Salem Lakes, we had 14 fire calls, 122 EMS calls, 5 hazard calls, 5 calls for service, 8 for good intent, and 2 false, for a total of 157. Paddock Lake, we had 1 fire call, 29 EMS, 2 hazard, 1 service, and 1 good intent, for a total of 34. And in Brighton, we had 2 calls for fire and 6 for EMS, for a total of 8.
Eight point two, Southeastern Wisconsin Fox River Commission update.
Yeah, our next meeting is not until January 16th, 2026 in Big Bend, Wisconsin.
8.3, Lake District updates. Silver Lake Management District.
Yeah, they have a meeting tomorrow night in Silver Lake at the old Village Hall. And this will be an annual meeting and it starts 6:30.
All right. Bolts Lake Camp and Center Lake Management Districts.
Gold Lake, their grant application has been submitted with the DNR to help for updating their aquatic plant management plan. Camp and Center Lake, there's nothing to report. But the Village of Salem Lakes Lake Forum is with the date that has been set, that will invite all 4 lake districts to the Lakes Forum. It's February 28th at 9 o'clock in the morning till noon. The goal is to explore working together to see if they could save money on like things, chemicals, what have you. The intent is not to have the village finance anything, get involved financially with any of these things, because lake districts are their own taxing body. But the village does oversee the ordinances that are in place on our lakes. They also maintain our boat landings and put up the signs at our boat landings. And we also sublease land, lake land that we have to homeowners associations. So we're really involved with the lake, but the lake districts are the ones that do the aquatic plant management things for it. Some of the people that have signed up to participate at this forum, Craig Helker with the DNR, he is the person, the biologist that issues the permits for invasive species control in the lakes in the Salem. Kristen Helber, who is the DNR manager for outdoor recreation grants. There's dates that you have to apply for these grants and different criteria that gives you a score. And it just would be really great to have her here and explain that to the district. So it may answer a lot of questions for them. Diane Music, and she's with Sewer Pack, Southeastern Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission, a biologist, and she assists lakes in preparing their aquatic plant management plans. In fact, she's currently working with 2 lakes in our village. Rock Lake is one, they're not a district, but she's helping with the association's plan there, and also Boats Lake with updating their plan, and assisted them in applying for that grant to pay for that process. And the last one is Tom Solowski. He's the chief biologist for the lakes and rivers for the 8 counties in the Southeastern Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission. And he's going to give a presentation and talk about just what Sewer Pack does and how it's involved. Sewer Pack also puts together reports, use reports on all our lakes. They update that every so many years. So they have a lot to do with our lakes as well. So that's it.
Thank you. <clears throat> 8.4 EDC update.
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, this past Wednesday, we had our second meeting with a group, Paddock Lake, Twin Lakes, and then Brian Fiatro and myself representing Village of Salem Lakes, in efforts to see about potentially getting together the road consortium. And so it's still a work in progress to see if we can make something work. But the general concept here, well, and I should add that on December 5th is our next meeting, which staff will be joining us for that. And then December 12th, hopefully,
January.
we'll have
January.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say you're back.
See, yeah. December 5th and then December 12th. December 12th will be the where all the communities that have currently shown interest. We're currently over between 10 and 12 communities that are very interested in combining efforts to try to basically through like standardizing road specifications and maintenance specifications, economy of scale and purchasing contracts. This really holds a lot of promise and to deliver basically collaborative, committed, and responsible stewardship of public dollars, which is the kind of leadership that the residents are looking for. So really kind of blew me away with the amount of interest by the surrounding communities as soon as they got wind of what we were looking to potentially try and start here. So I think it's hopefully, if it all works out, all sorts of communities will be able to benefit from working together for the same concept that's delivered into each and every taxpayer of each community.
To review those dates one more time, please.
Sorry, yeah. So December 5th will be at
January.
September.
Jen,
oh, sorry. Yeah.
change your note.
That's right. January 5th and January 12th. So January 5th, staff will join us at Paddock Lake. And then it remains to be seen where we meet for January 12th, where where representatives from each interested community can come together to hear what has been put together through an engineering firm that is working on the confines of the innovation grant as put out by the state of Wisconsin to see if we could bring something together. Even if it doesn't turn out that the concept fits inside of the confines of innovation grant with the money that the state has available, just the plain concept of communities working together for economy of scale and savings for taxpayers is a great concept to at least try to make happen.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you. 8.5 Library Board update.
All right, we had our meeting last night and we will now need another volunteer from Salem to be on the board. Since Randall dropped off, we paid the bills and they're gonna work on a easier to read financial report budget, so everybody can understand what's happening with Randall backing out. So we get more money from Kenosha County, and then plus we get paid for anyone that uses the cards, signs out books, whatever. So we get paid that way too, so like everybody does.
The library does.
The library does.
Yeah.
So far, we only found there was like $1,100 that we were losing for this next year in the whole thing, which isn't bad, but we're getting different incomes from different sources too. So we're going to try and make that a little easier. They're working on that to make that a little easier to read and understand.
Okay.
Instead of just line item thing.
All right. Thank you. 8.6 future agenda requests.
Yeah, Madam President, I'd like to see an agenda item that talks to the cabaret licenses here in the village.
In reference to, I think I have that on my list. Hours.
Hours and possible elimination, as we're one of the few municipalities that actually have a cabaret license requirement.
Hmm.
We do take in some money, but how much money approximately, Sarah? Yeah, $1,500.
Yeah.
So you just want that as an agenda
To
type
talk,
discussion?
Yep.
Okay.
How many businesses do we have that have a cabaret license?
offhand, I'd probably say about 12, maybe.
Any other agenda requests? All right, we'll move on to number 9, planning and zoning, discussion and possible action on the following. 9.1 Kenosha County Fair Association, Inc., 30820 111th Street, Wilmot, Wisconsin, 53192-0096, owner Jennifer Hesse, P O Box 96, Wilmot, Wisconsin, 53192, agent requesting to amend a previously approved conditional use permit in the PR1 Park Recreational District on tax parcel 704-12303-1261.
Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Staff and the fair, do you want to fill us in on the changes and?
So I can do a little bit of that. So at the last board meeting, the board indicated that they wanted to kind of pull back and revamp the existing conditional use permit. So basically you had a 2017 that was renewed in 2022. And then there was multiple amendments that were made over the last couple of years, including this year, in regards to the fair. And it seemed like it started to become a little complicated with some information that wasn't relevant anymore. And then in regards to the events that were listed, it became clear that those events were not even ones that would need to come before the board because they were under 5,000 in attendance. And so from that direction, we put together a draft CUP that took out all the excess language, boiled it down to just the bare requirements, not making reference to ordinance requirements that were in the old CUP because it's in the ordinance, and taking out the events of anything that was under 5,000 so that they don't have to keep coming back to the board anytime they want to make a slight amendment, like with numbers or anything like that, because those things are hashed out with an annual meeting. Now, previously it was proposed to meet twice a year, but those dates weren't even really relevant to the ongoings of the fair. And so in the current version, it says that it's to meet by December 1st, which works with the fair and how they operate everything. And they'll provide all that detailed information in regards to numbers, dates, security plan, and other things. And those will all be discussed. And if any new event is going to be over 5,000, then we would discuss that and a decision would be made if they need to bring that to make an amendment in the future. But anything that has been operating under 5,000, and then the three events that have been operating over 5,000, which is the races, the fair, and now Das Fest, those are built into it. So I think from that, we had a meeting with the fair and discussed some things, made some tweaks. And in the end, you have before you with what is all agreed upon and seems to be the most simplest way to move forward so that the fair doesn't have to appear as often before the board. So I'm not sure if the fair has any additional comments, but I think that's where we're at. And so they have a security plan. That security plan will be vetted every year with the sheriff's department. If there's any numbers in changing, again, that'll be vetted throughout the year.
Okay. And you guys are.
Andy said is 100% what we agree with, and we thank all of you guys for working with us to make it better.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the board? All right, then we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 9.2, request from Bear Development on a termination and release of agreement concerning the completion of Dells Road.
There you go. 4011 80th Street, Kenosha, Wisconsin. I do have some exhibits that I'd like to show.
Hey, Dan. Can you
Yep.
pull that up and
Okay. sorry.
thank you. All right, you're just tall.
It's actually the Plata survey, the first exhibit. So basically, we submitted last month a copy of a recorded agreement that's related to our property on Lakeview and Cogswell. And back in 1993, a previous landowner had divided some parcels off of this property. As part of that, as part of the land division, there was an agreement recorded against the property that required the extension of Dells Road and the sanitary sewer across the northern boundary of our property. So we asked for some time tonight for the village to consider a release of that agreement based on some previous discussions we've had recently regarding the development of this property. So there's a couple reasons for the request. One, if you're familiar with Dells Road, since 1993, the village has constructed a pedestrian path down that right of way, along with a barrier. So that improvement's been made. And then, of course, we had some recent discussions with this board. And there seemed to be a consensus that the village did not favor the extension of Dells Road going across from, I believe it's Edgewood into the industrial park. And then further, we talked about a couple different concepts for developing this property. One involved a subdivision of 27 or so home sites. That didn't go over so well, if you remember. And we talked about a division that would involve approximately 6 lots. We'd like to move that forward. However, with this agreement in place, the costs related to Dells Road and sanitary are cost prohibitive. And we've come up with a proposed land division that shows that those extensions aren't needed to serve that property. So I do have that other exhibit, sir. So basically what we're asking for is to use the same amount of Dells Road and the sanitary that's in Dells Road that currently exists to serve 3 parcels. And so Dells Road is improved to the east. Basically the length of that property, the address is 702 Dells Road. It's on the corner of Eastwood and Dells. So we would propose to serve these home sites with the existing infrastructure.
The only thing you're asking for tonight, though, is relief from that previous agreement of making the road tying Dells into Lotus Drive, correct?
Correct. There's an agreement that's recorded on title of our property that requires that. And we're asking for that to be released so we can bring our plans forward.
Okay, you got properties, looks like 2 separate lots on the other side of Dells Road that you probably don't own. How are they gonna access?
Those are, I believe that's a public park.
It is. That's where the trail for that 20 some odd acres comes out. Right behind, it's to the west of Steve Dunn's shop over there.
So we do not need that road at all for any type of access?
The road has a barrier now. It's never gone through as it is. There was talk at one time about 5 years ago about bringing it all the way
Connecting
through.
the 2 of them, Dells and Lotus together, and when you first brought that in,
But
and that was shot down, so.
yeah,
Yeah, the consensus was not to put the road through there, to leave it the way it is.
correct.
Well, I can understand that part. I've just wondered if. Because normally if you put a road in, neighbors on either side of the road both have to pay for the road.
Sure. There's another exhibit that I have on that.
The road is
that
there.
has,
The road is there.
But it has to be improved, correct? That's what we're talking about.
Only up to where the barrier is today for the ice trail. There's a
Mhm.
walking trail right there. And
Right
where
where that
that,
hand
the
is?
road goes all the way up to that barrier.
Right.
All right, if we don't have a need.
No, I mean, no. Ralph Faber used to live on that corner over there. No. There's no need for it there.
the road is improved the length of that property that you referenced.
Correct.
And so what we're asking to do is just use the same length of road to service these 3 future home sites, or proposed home sites, I should say.
Yeah.
But without having that release, we really can't bring a plan forward because it's encumbered with a cost and a responsibility that doesn't make sense.
So that would be a private road then?
No, that's public, it's public right of way. Right now, it's public right of way. We would not.
Things changing essentially. We're just
Nothing's-
giving a release
Right.
on
Yeah.
putting the road through. Right?
Correct.
I'll make a motion to approve the termination and release of agreement concerning the Bear Development and the Dells Road access.
Mr. Hopkins and board, and this may be for everyone, just a clarification on the motion. Is it to release the provision in the contract of Dells Road or to release the entirety of the agreement?
The agreement currently requires extension of the improved Dells Road. And it requires the extension of sanitary sewer along the Dells Road, our property line. So what we're asking for is a release for both the public road, the improvement of the public road and the extension of sanitary sewer. And
You're gonna stub off of what's already in the road.
correct, there will be some improvements that need to be made to service what we're proposing. But we are asking for the release of the full extension of the road and the sanitary sewer.
Yeah, and I wasn't around in 1993. Most of us weren't when this thing was contract was agreed to. It has a provision for Dells Road, provisions for sewer access, and provisions for Lakeview Drive. So I don't know if some of that stuff is moot by this point. I just want to make sure it's clear what both sides are trying to do. Are you trying to release this entire agreement, or are we just trying to release Dells Road?
My motion is to release the agreement as it pertains to the sewer and the road throughput, I guess you call it. Anything else that's in the agreement would still stand.
Correct. And the requirements that are related to Lakeview have been satisfied by the previous landowner, so. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so we had a first by Hopkins, second by Gant. Okay. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Thank you very much.
9.3, request from Bear Development for preliminary discussions on Brenner Fields regarding the formation of a tax incremental district.
ISR Mills, also with Bear Development, 4011 80th Street, Kenosha. Appreciate the time tonight. Wanted to provide an update to everybody about where we're at in the process, just from an overall entitlements, but then also to let you know, we've been working with Ellers. I know there's a representative here tonight that's probably going to speak after me, but the TID creation in the district and that process and what that looks like. If maybe we could pull up a site plan, that'd be great. So just as to jog the memories, we're just under 35 acres is the southern component of the plan that we're looking at here. It's got a commercial outlot off of 83. We have 46 single family home sites and 34 duplex townhomes of 68 units total. We feel good about the market. We feel good about the ability to move the product and have a successful development. The land is currently zoned A2, looking for a combination of B1, R9, and R6. Right now, we have submitted for our zoning amendment, comprehensive plan amendment, both scheduled for January 21st of this year to be heard by the Plan Commission. As it pertains back to the TID, which is really we're trying to just take the temperature to make sure that everybody's relatively on board with it between our explanations and Ellers. We recognize, we know that it needs to be a win-win for us. It has to make financial sense for the village, for the constituents. It has to work. So we have a proposed plan of how the TID could be laid out with current state law. We think it works pretty well. Again, Ellers will opine on that more than I do, but just also as a bit of a reminder, the way that we do these previously in years past, oftentimes there's general obligation bonds that were issued, things of that nature. That's not what we're proposing here. The way that we've looked at this, and I'll rattle off a list of communities that we're doing in this in right now. It's called a pay-go or developer funded TID. So for instance, if we put in all of the infrastructure and then we fall flat and we don't sell any homes, we get behind our projections, that all that risk is on us. So we go out and borrow for that to be able to put that infrastructure in to do it. We get recouped over a period of time. And, there's financial spreadsheets that make sure that it's not too rich from our standpoint, that it's not too thin, that it's within the reasonableness of other deals that are done to be a market rate that everybody receives. It's not unjust enrichment from our standpoint. But again, we put up all of the costs, and it's a very slow payback over time, but it allows us to create product. And, we think that, there's a pretty big benefit all the way around on that. Between the sewer hookup fees, the impact fees, it's about $10,000 a unit. So we would look to be paying, or the homeowners, the builders pay about 1.1 million in overall fees back to the village. So fiscally, others have found that it makes quite a bit of sense. Overall, from a value creation, we're looking at about $48 million between the 46 single family, 68 side-by-side townhomes, and the commercial outlot on the corner. I think that's a little conservative. We try and keep our expectations minimal and exceed those. Right now we have examples of this in Union Grove, Burlington, Mount Pleasant, Paddock Lake, Caledonia, Kenosha, Summers. So these are all communities that we've are actively working with and have PAYGO TIDs in place or soon to be in place to do mixed use developments that involve single family, two family, sometimes multifamily, commercial, but what we consider a big mixed use development overall. Some of them range in size from 70 lots. Some of them are 350 units of a variety of product type. And it's worked well. In each one of these communities, they're happy, we're happy. And, the market's pretty good where we're at right now, but the fundamentals still don't balance when we're, if you're trying to do it without that TID assistance. The state of Wisconsin, unlike some other states, we're pretty limited in the tools in the toolbox to be able to create these kinds of developments. TID is really one of the only tools that we have. Again, Ellers can attest to that, but at the end of the day, it can be pretty effective. There are some rules up at the state they're looking to change that would allow it to be a little more flexible, which would, I think, help communities and developers alike, but we're still waiting on some of those rule changes to take place. School districts have always had a big say and influential in what we do. Typically in nearly, I won't speak for the school district by any stretch, but typically they're always supportive because of the way that they're funded. As we see some decline in enrollment and looking for more pupils in schools, oftentimes I can't think of any community where they haven't spoken in favor of a development like this. And if we can go to the next slide, I think we have some product, housing product on there, just to show you somewhat indicative of what we would expect. This is a side-by-side duplex. We expect those to be between 350 and 400,000 a side is kind of where we envision that. Maybe the next one, I think we've got a couple of single family too. The single family will, lot house packages between 500 and 6.25 is typically where we're seeing those come out at. Whitetail Ridge, just northwest is a good example. That's about where we're landing there. That's maybe even a little higher. But yeah, so this is a little older. This one's in, this is in Paddock Lake. I think that's Union Grove. So high quality product. The single family lots are on average about 10,000 square feet. We think it'll do well and be absorbed, and excited to move it forward. If this board is, in favor of mixed use, developer funded PAYGO TID, we think we could be, we could do well.
So if this were to go through, you're looking to commence in the spring of 2026 with the infrastructure development to be completed by the spring of 2027. Is that correct?
Love to say we could get it done in the fall of 26, but realistically, we probably, ideally, we start as soon as we can in 26. Typically, we can deliver finished lots in November and then start going vertical over that winter season, but that might be a little aggressive, just depending on the construction.
And you're looking at a completion of 2030, correct?
Correct. And that's with all the finished product online. I'd have to go back and look at the exact numbers, but typically looking at absorption of 25 units a year to 30 units a year of any particular product type. So we'd say, if we've got 34, 68 townhomes, maybe that's a 3-year burn to get through all of those. And with the 46 lots, we're maybe looking at 2 to 2.5 years. So that would be about right with that 3-year time horizon. Knowing that we're never going to guess perfectly, but try and put them up as quick as we can.
And the TID is for 20 years?
TIDs, it can vary, but I think 21 years is typical. Correct.
The last time you were here, you said you'd guarantee the payment if it didn't, at maturity, if it was short. You recall saying that?
So we know that if the TID district ends and we're not recouped, we're not getting any more. There's no extending it per se, unless there's some reason that the municipality wants to. But we bake that into our numbers to say, okay, if there's still MRO bond that's outstanding, but the TID's lifespan is done, the TID's done, we're not expecting any more.
So we can mature it at 20 years and you make up the difference, right?
Correct. And hopefully it pays off. And a lot of that goes back to, it's in the development agreement. We, target a internal rate of return that everybody agrees is fair. And then if it exceeds that, there's some split where more goes back to the municipality. And that's part of, and each one of these deals that we have, it's all codified and laid out for, what happens. And one of the biggest things that we have right now are falling mill rates, where some of the expectations 5 years ago as mill rates have fallen. It starts to skew things. Now assessed valuations have gone back up, but it's just trying to find that balance.
Can you walk us through a TID?
Ellers is here, right?
You're gonna
Diane.
explain everything then?
Yeah.
Second question, do you have any parks either on either side of that?
Parks like
Are you putting in any? parks?
tot lots. I have to go back. Can you pull that site plan back up?
talked about it at the last one.
Right.
Yeah, and some trails and some different things. I mean, and that's something that we can certainly walk through. I mean, I know we've got, granted it's across 83, but we've got all the.
That's a lot of people there.
Yeah,
So
and
I would expect, I thought we had something, every subdivision had to have a park. At one time we did.
Yeah.
Top line, right.
yeah,
Any park-
and
any
that's,
park, yeah.
and that's something that we can collaborate on and do. In a lot of the communities, we have tot lots and it's figuring out,
And that'll go through the plan commission process
yeah,
and
yeah.
come through us. So
Okay.
it'll be talked about during that time.
In Heritage Estates, they actually gave us $100,000 not to do it, but those lots were an acre lots, so they have.
Right, they don't-
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in Woodland, we got 50 some acres over there that they.
I get that.
Yeah, we've done that before too. Some, park fees that then go to improve some, maybe something that's more applicable, more usable. Here, I don't disagree. I think that, because of the density,
Yeah.
a tot lot could work well. And you got ball fields right across the street for older kids, so it'd be a good fit.
Did I understand you're paying all of the infrastructure up front?
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, so we come out, we pay for it, whether it's loans, out of pocket, combination thereof typically, and then it gets recouped over time.
Thanks.
Sure.
All right, I'm gonna invite Ellers up now to kind of explain, and then we might ask you to
Sure.
answer some more
Yeah, thank you.
questions. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Good evening, Frank Roman with Ellers. We are financial advisors to the village. What we do in particular with this is, first of all, delineate between TID and TIF. TID is the tax increment district. It's a geographic area that is producing additional tax revenues, incremental tax revenues. TIF is the financing mechanism that we structure with the developer to help with the costs that they're incurring. One of the key points that was just made is that this is expected to be a pay-as-you-go. We call it pay-go. And again, it's the developer funds this up front through bank loans or equity, and over a period of time recoups those costs. In a development like this, a horizontal development, the developer is putting in just the infrastructure for the project, for the finished home, but just the infrastructure. It has a value, but it doesn't have the value that's going to pay back their investment in the property. That's going to come from the vertical construction of the homes. And that may be by Bear Development, it may be by another home builder, but you're really counting on that value. I think it's probably about 75–80% of the pay-go would come from the finished product, which they don't control necessarily. So there's additional risk from the time factor of how long this is going to be outstanding, 4 or 5 years, time value of money. And there's also the risk of these homes being developed and sold for the price points that they're expecting. So every development project has a level of risk. One apartment building is built at a certain amount of time, it's online, it's producing revenue right away. In this instance, it's taken the developer 4, 5, 6 years to recover those costs. So it adds another element of risk to that. So what we do is work with the projections from the development company and make sure that it falls in line with the Wisconsin state statute of the but-for test. But for the financial, you're smirking. But for the incentives or the assistance being provided, this project would not go forward as it's designed and with the level of quality and in the timing that's anticipated. Also, as was mentioned, so you have to have an elemental return to investors to make this project work. Also, on the top end of that, we're going to make sure that there's no excess profits to the developer. It'll be capped at a certain level within market ranges, but it'll be so that the development company is not unduly enriched and they're not getting fat on it. So that's what we do. That's what I do. Dig into the numbers and make sure that this is within those parameters. So that's basically TIF per se. Well, so when a tax increment district is being formed, which is you were asking about, it has to have certain acreage for certain uses. In this case, a mixed use would be up to 35% residential area and other commercial uses as well, which I think should be to the south of this parcel. When a district is created, it goes through multiple steps. It goes through planning. It goes through public comment. It goes through all the stages prescribed by statute to be implemented. A mixed use district would go for 20 years. So the developer has up to 20 years to recoup these costs. In this particular case, the cost of the horizontal improvements exceeds the sales prices of all the lots at the assessed levels. So right there, we've kind of determined a fundamental gap or financing gap in doing so. So then we structure the deal for it so it goes forward so that on the pay-go, the developer receives monies over time. The important part of this, I think people don't always understand, is that when a tax increment district is created, the values of the properties that are in that district are frozen. So as the developer builds the parcels over here, the existing properties are still paying the same taxes that they were before. The increment or the taxes above what the base level taxes are is what fuels the assistance to the developer. So as the developers lots are developed and homes are built and they're sold, it's an ascending line of tax revenue. So every year then the developer would get a certain portion of that tax revenue back, tax revenue that they create. So it's not coming out of the public's hands. It's not coming out of the original property values. It's whatever value they create is what they're able to receive a portion of that back. And as was mentioned too, sales slow down, values aren't there, whatever, at the end of the 20 years, if their investment is not fully paid back, they're holding the bag. There's no termination of the district. That's it. Except for provision to extend, which will be another matter. But anyway, I just want to make sure that you understood the difference between the district and the tax increment financing measures.
So now how does the developer get paid back for the infrastructure of that?
Well, as I mentioned, developer's going to put in roads, sewers, sanitary, the whole thing. As the value is created over and above that baseline, the developer's going to pay taxes on that every year based on the assessed values. In this development agreement that will be entered into, should this go forward, the developer will receive a certain percentage of those taxes back to help cover those costs. So every year, taxes or properties are assessed, taxes are paid, the developer receives some assistance back. But again, this is over a certain period of time. So it's the time value of money is doing this. They're paying interest on a loan. They've got interest or return expectations from their investors to do this. So It's a balance of when these revenues come in and when the developer has to pay his mortgage interest or those type of things.
So it's paid for by tax dollars. Since you have a
Tax
hot
dollars that
dollar-
are paid by the developer on the parcels that they're improving. And then they get a portion of that back. So you're not dipping into the past taxes that existing properties are already paying. That's off the
that's
board.
farmland, that's. next to
Or
nothing.
other, yeah, true. But again, if they create the value, they would get a certain percentage of that back. If they don't create the value,
So
they're,
the
hole.
taxpayers is funding this, then, correct?
the taxpayers are not funding this. The developer is funding it by creating value and paying those taxes.
We're
But the
just not-
taxes
We're
you're
not
getting
going to realize the full tax
Right,
benefit.
it's still our tax dollars that would have come back into it. So you got,
Only on new development.
right.
Only on the
You
new
got $100,
development. And I'm gonna go where I think you're going. At the end of the 20 years of the district, when the district terminates, you go from a value of, say, $1 million in this district to $20 million in the district. At the end of the day, when the district is terminated, every jurisdiction, school, county, village, et cetera, they all now share in a piece of the larger pie than
Right.
what you had 20 years before.
between there and that larger pie, we're paying, the taxpayers are paying for that, as in the schools aren't getting the money, we're not getting the extra money, correct?
That's correct.
Correct.
We're
So
not
we're
getting-
paying for that.
We're not getting the full amount, correct?
Right, farmland doesn't give you a diddly, but I mean, we
Right.
go to the houses and the infrastructure, I understand that. So
Mm-hmm.
the taxpayer is funding this up until that 20 years, till he pays it off
Jake,
in taxes that we're not collecting over that, correct?
In a way, taxes that you're not collecting.
Right,
It's not that
taxes
they're
we're
paying
not
it
collecting.
themselves.
I've got a question that might help clear this up. So when you talk about bringing more children into the school district, with the schools, with their attendance, they'll be able to get dollars for per pupil. But the tax dollars that the schools would get related to the housing will not occur for 20 years.
Correct.
They'll occur. So I think the answer to trustee Bearheight's question is the but-for test, really. And Frank touched on that yes, there are taxes that are being paid by constituents to the village, and the village is reimbursing the developer for those expenditures that he had up front. But for this TID being created in the first place, those prospective houses aren't there.
correct.
If that makes sense. So there is no tax base now. You mentioned that use value assessment under ag land creates very little tax revenue for the village, the school, the county, anybody. But for this proposal by this developer coming forward and saying, hey, I want to add housing stock to your community, add students to your schools, add prospective tax base to your community, county, everybody. Again, excuse me, but for that desire to happen and the fact that he can't develop this without a TID, that's where the crux of the issue comes in, I guess. And that's why the state is really strong about the but-for test being in place. And you guys and the Joint Review Board and the Plan Commission all get a say in that over the next couple of months as this TID is being proposed and created. And we'll rely on our financial advisors like others to assist us through that process in reviewing it to make sure that we're not unduly enriching the developer.
On a side note, are we getting anything back, the schools are getting anything back out of the TIF that we put over here at the industrial park yet?
Till it matures,
Not till it matures.
not till it matures,
So not for 20 years.
right? And it could pay off at some 5 years early,
Right.
and that's 20.
Still paying that.
Yes.
Yeah, you always have the opportunity to close a TID earlier if it meets the expectations.
So you
So
said,
you're not married to the full 20 years.
right, everything, if it sells fast and you can build them as fast, then it gets
Yes, sir.
retired earlier.
Right.
Understand that.
Now, when this is created to lots, I read someplace it was $45,000. Is that what you're going to value the lots at to start with?
No.
The single families are 95.
95.
Okay.
The single family was 95, and I believe, and it's, we still, between Frank and his team over at Elders and ours, we still always evaluate that as the market continues to uptick. I think on the duplexes, we're like 45,000 a side, so 90,000 a pad. So it's pretty comparable between a single family and a two family where it would be. And if I could address to your school question, we saw a very big change back when they changed the funding mechanism for schools, when it was primarily based on real estate taxes alone. School districts maybe didn't want as many kids because it was just really based off the real estate side. Now where it's a per pupil, what we found is, especially in looking at some declining enrollment, or even if you have a school like Westosha Central, where my son goes, we live in Kenosha, he goes out to Central, but Central will make more money for a kid that lives in the district versus a kid that lives outside the district. So it's been this very unique change where we've seen for all of those communities that I rattled off earlier, they're all big proponents of this because they realize they want more kids around because that's how they now get paid. And I can't rattle off the exact percentages of what's from real estate taxes and what comes from the per pupil, but I know it's significantly more on the per pupil now, or else they wouldn't be fans of this.
They're not
It used to be
getting
about
anything.
$5,000 that the state or the state would pay into it. It used to be somewhere around $5,000.
I think it's like 13 now.
13,000?
Smaller than that. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
I ChatGPT, I could be wrong on that, but it's significantly more than it used to be on the per pupil basis.
Right. It's the ones that come in cost you money because you're not getting the tax dollars out of them out of the public. You're just getting the state dollars. Right.
Yeah.
So the ones that are in the area district, we're getting the tax dollars from the property.
That's true. And I think it's even a boost where if they're outside the district, what they get paid is less than if they're within the district. But again,
It may have changed. I haven't been up there
Yeah.
for 5 years.
Union Grove is a good example of that, where they were right across from the high school with a comparable kind of development. And they were really supportive of it because even though they had a lot of kids coming from east of the I, they wanted to have more of a population base of kids in Union Grove.
Right.
And I think it was fiscal. They used it behind it.
So tonight, this item is for just our blessing to move forward. Is that what that's for?
Yeah, you're not making any formal decision tonight. You're just simply indicating that legal and staff and Ellers should begin the process. There's a lot of upfront work in developing a TIF, and as indicated, there's also going to be as Ellers indicated, there's also going to be a development agreement that needs to be put in place, zoning, comprehensive planning. So this is not going to happen overnight. You're probably not going to get to the end of the road until March. It's all a statutory process, including that at some point we'll have to get the Joint Review Board involved, which I don't believe for this community has been active since 2015. There may be some aspects that need to float through the Plan Commission first for recommendations to this body. So the only thing you're doing tonight is giving an indication based on consensus to staff and legal and Ellers whether to engage in these discussions with Bear.
Okay. And SR, I don't remember if I asked this the last time, but is the Paddock Lakeside also doing one?
Yes, so that land is actually already in a TID district.
Okay.
And so that was part of with the development up there with Quick Trip, the Culvers, all of that. So that's in an existing TID district.
Okay.
Do you happen to have a rough idea of the infrastructure cost, like a estimate?
I should.
8.27 million. Oh, well, I don't have the breakdown of infrastructure.
Yeah.
But total project cost 8.27.
It's 7.5 million.
And when you say total project cost 7.5 million, you're talking roads, sewers, just
Yeah. Just the infrastructure costs, not talking about the vertical cost of the homes.
right.
So that's separate. So that's kind of the delineation point where White Hill Ridge, by example, just to the west, we actually built all of those. Union Grove, we have 3 other builders in there with us. So it's some combination thereof.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
So this is only a TID, right? Not a TIF, because you said TIF at some point. So it's only.
TIF is the financing structure.
Okay.
TID is the geographic district. So
Okay.
they're referred interchangeably sometimes, but
Oh, okay.
that
And
is
this
a
is just so complicated. I want to just make sure I have clarification.
it
on
is,
a
but
couple
that's
of
why Jay
things.
wanted me to kind of do a quick,
Yeah.
chat on that.
So the taxes that the houses that are built are collecting, all of those taxes will go back. We keep a portion of them still. No,
We get zero tax, right?
well, no, he just
Or no?
shook his head.
There's some combination in there. This is
Okay.
what The Ellers team does well. We send pro formas back and forth to make sure we're not unduly enriched and that
Okay.
if there's a a reasonable profit for taking the risks that we're taking. And then typically the way it's set up within a development agreement is, you know, there's some split, whether it's a 90-10, 85-15. If we hit a certain internal rate of return, then in turn, the village gets significantly more of that. So that's kind of the governor on it to make sure that we're not making too much. And it's great if it happens because then we all.
So
make more.
we could and likely will be receiving some taxes on these new homes.
Certainly some.
So it's
yes.
not all taxpayer money paying for it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Now, is
So
that-
Those remain in the district though,
only in the district.
right, until the district closes. Then when the district closes, it's
Okay.
released to the various entities.
Now, that return you're talking about right there, is that divided with the schools and us?
Schools, county,
The other
village, and
counties?
tech school.
So we don't get the little portion of that. No.
You would get the village's portion of the full, what's it, $14 per thousand?
Yeah.
You get the village's portion of that, which is a couple bucks per thousand.
And there's no increased taxes on any of the empty lots. That's what I understood you to say. Right? Nothing that's built. That all
Nothing
stays.
filled. I mean,
flat.
the properties that are in place when the district is formed don't have any increase in taxation or anything. If the assessor comes back in another year or two and says, well, across the board, you know, the properties have increased a little bit,
Okay.
that's normal course.
Okay.
And just maybe to add to that, part of, if we build the whole subdivision out, we have 20 out of 46 homes. Those vacant lots though,
Mhm.
they will not be assessed as farmland anymore. They will be assessed as vacant lots. Maybe they're $85,000 a lot is the assessed value. So they would be assessed higher than they were prior to the horizontal infrastructure going.
So there is potential for tax money to come in to us on this
It's-
a little bit.
it's all of that whole district is what's considered, or not, it's not the whole district, but it's really our development. So there's gonna be
Okay.
lands within the district that we don't have, you know, we don't own, we're not looking to develop. But within what we're doing, any of that increased valuation, that increment that's created, that's what we would figure out how to split up to make sure it's fair.
Okay.
Fair, like I said.
Pretty good, yeah.
And can
Um,
you,
Thank you.
go ahead.
Just if I may follow up on that a little
Yeah.
bit. So first of all, we're fiduciaries for you.
Mhm.
And in this case, I'm the gatekeeper of how the numbers run. So the increments are created, we first make sure there's any village liabilities or debts that are paid first. So we generally have a certain amount set aside from for, I don't know, maybe staff salaries, audit, legal that you would incur, that type of thing. Any of those costs are paid first before any split of the increment to the developer. And in this case, I think we're looking at 85% to the developer and 15% to the village. So every year the village will get 15% that will go into the TID fund, which would be designated for the village. At the end of the day, when the district closes, is that it accretes or as it builds up, that'll be available to the village also.
Okay.
Does that generate interest?
Sorry?
Does it generate interest?
No.
No.
One concern that I had is there's an awful lot of people in our community that want to stay rural. But this particular development is right next to an identical development that is in Paddock Lake. And so it would mirror that. I mean, it would, so the area it doesn't bother me. Let me put it that way.
And we can't stop somebody from selling their land. So, I have one more question, SR. The intersection there. Can you tell me what the plan is for that? And who is going to be financing and responsible
We
for
would,
that?
so I mean, any of those public improvements, whether it's a roadway dedicated to the public, whether it's a light on 83 in the east-west road there.
Okay.
Sewer, water utility, all of that cost is on us.
So if they came back and said a roundabout there, does that take out part of your plan?
It would, yeah, I mean, it's really whatever the DOT comes, it's a state highway, so none of that is our call. At the end of the day, we do a traffic impact analysis, send it to them, and they kind of tell us what they want.
Okay.
They originally wanted to put a roundabout there and there was quite a uproar that
Yeah.
the citizens did not want it at that time. I think people are getting more comfortable with them, so
Evidently Wisconsin has more roundabouts than any other state.
I hate them.
They
Okay.
originated in Boston.
All right, so does anyone have any other questions before we go to a vote? Is it,
It's
what
a
is it,
consensus.
a vote or a consensus?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And that's in our sewer service area. And as you mentioned, we get about $10,000 per hookup.
Okay, so we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Number 10, Treasurer's Office, discussion and possible action on the following. 10.1 vouchers in the amount of $648,784.25 for November of 2025.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments?
I have a question. Is that, this is on the checks or no?
Yeah.
Check number, well, it's 1117, lifetime disc, $14,000. We're still paying that?
That was, and I'm gonna also kind of confer with Brad here, but that was, my understanding was the final, invoice that came through for the disc golf.
When did they finish that?
Last year or this year?
That was sent to me. I was also waiting on a W-9 from that company as well before I could pay that invoice.
Do we know what the total cost of was for that Frisbee golf thing?
I do not have the actual total for the building of the disc golf park, no, offhand. I'd have to get that information for you.
And these are the numbers that were approved by us?
Yes.
I'm just surprised to see it there now. I thought we were all done with that quite a while ago.
Yep, I understand. It's through Lifetime Disc Sports.
That's actually the part.
Just a design, not to put in? Was that the gentleman that had the thing over there that was gonna get so many years of use out of it? So we had to pay him for it too? Can I get a total of that when you get a chance?
For the total project,
Yes, please.
of course.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, anyone opposed? Okay, 10.2 expenditure report for November of 2025.
In your packets, you have the full expenditure report through November of 2025. Just want to run through and touch base. So through November year to date for central service, we have we have spent $1,095,907, which is 81% of the budget for central services. Last year, same year to date, we were at 80% usage for central service. For the clerk's department, we are currently at $104,000, which is roughly 92% of the budget used. Last year, 2024, we were at 121% used. For the fire department, we are currently at $2,503,099. That is about 80% usage of the current year budget. Last year, we were at 78 for same year to date. Public Works, we are at roughly 80% usage, and we were at 82 for last year. And overall for general fund, we are currently at 81% use of budget, and we were at 81 last year for same year to date.
Okay.
There's any questions?
Yes, these are the fund balance carryover. I mean, we still have to pay for
That's the
still
next,
buying that stuff.
that's the next
No,
item,
that's the
Billy.
next item. These are our current expenditure for year to date.
Right.
current
So they all seem to be in line.
Yeah.
Bill, what you're starting to ask about is the next item on the agenda.
Okay. All right.
Because I thought we threw out the plow purchase.
We're not. on-
Any other questions on the expenditure report? All right, great. Thank you. 10.3, resolution 2025.12-150 to authorize the carryover of fund balance. And Jay, I'll let you kind of explain this one and the why. Or Kristen,
So,
sorry.
yeah, so historically, this is a resolution that we do at the end of the year to address any projects or equipment, things of that nature that have not been, they were budgeted for in 2025, but have not been either A, completed or been purchased yet. And we present to carry over these funds so that we can continue to finish these projects or purchase said items in the next year budget.
And they would still come before the board to be approved.
Correct.
Yes.
Need a motion?
Mhm.
A motion to authorize carryover of the fund balance.
Second.
Any questions or comments?
So it's not, we're not okaying these, it's just money's being brought over in case we need to use them for that.
Right, because you can't leave it in this year's budget.
Yeah, so
Right,
we
you
have
can't
to,
you have
we
to
have to
zero
get
out.
approval in the
Yeah.
resolution to carry the funds over to next year. So that we can then, but we'd still have to bring it to the board before we utilize the funds.
Correct. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed? Thank you. 10.4, 2025 tax collection update.
Yeah, I'll start with an apology to the community. We made an error with the calculation of the tax bills for 2026 for 2025 rate. My apologies for that. Our apologies as a staff team. I apologize to the board. It was certainly an error that was made that we didn't intend to do so. So again, we apologize for the inconvenience of that. We did have to send out additional tax bills, new tax bills for all our constituents. If you have paid your taxes on the previous bill, you've received or in the process of receiving a new bill from the county, and that new bill will show the amount that you now owe. You still owe, even though we made the mistake and had to send you a new tax bill, you still owe the total amount. So if you did pay previously, we'll have that calculation. Kristen and her team have been working to forward those calculations on, and it'll show the gap of what you still owe when you come in, if you come in person to pay it. If you send it in, we'll receipt your tax bill and get it back to you. But I guess I want to stress that you still owe the bill, even if you paid it in advance of receiving the second bill. Again, I can't extend our sincere apologies enough to you all, but it was a mistake, and we'll certainly learn from that and not have that occur again. We've been working with the Kenosha County Treasurer and their team to assist us with that in the future to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And we've had a conversation with Ellers, our financial advisor, on it, and Todd Taves, who's been here before and appeared before the board, has assisted us in the process of that. The error came in calculation of the TID that we do have. So interesting follow-up to the TID creation discussion for the next up TID. We'll be prepared for that in the future as we have another TID if we have another TID in place. But that's where the error occurred. It was a shortfall of over $400,000, so it wasn't an amount that the village could operate on without receiving those taxes for the future. I'll maybe stop there, and then we do have just some financial data to go through, but if there's any questions by the board or.
My question is, for anyone who has mailed in, right, and it is short, when we send the receipt back, are we highlighting the amount due, at least for the first payment?
Yes,
So that they're aware?
Yes, and I'm also working on, which I will work with Jay. So I've been working on re-receipting those payments as they've come in. And then with the receipt, it is highlighted and notated, but I'm also working on putting a letter together to include with that receipt.
Okay.
to
That they still
drop-
need to pay that by January
Correct.
31st. Okay.
So
And what about looking into the potential of extending hours to collect those taxes, especially those that President Luker just talked about, who mailed in their first tax bill and may not necessarily open that second until close to the end of the year?
Sure.
I think the mailing is gonna have a sticker on the outside. Am I correct?
Correct. So I actually just delivered those to Kenosha County office this afternoon. The new envelopes that will be going out include a neon orange insert with the letter informing the error that happened, as well as on the outside of the envelope will have a neon label stating that it is a revised bill, open immediately.
Okay.
So we tried to bring as much attention to it as possible in preparing to send those out.
And how many stations do you have open now collecting taxes?
We have 4 counter stations in the building, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
President Bucher and the board, I just want to share that the folks that have, so we did send out a memo on the email blast that the village has available to it, a Facebook post, and some of the news media have picked up on this and have done a nice job sharing the new information for us. The individual and Kristen's contact information has been on there, and not just Kristen has received calls, but our entire team has received a fair amount of inquiries on this topic, and people have been very gracious and understanding. I guess I just want to share that back with the board. Obviously, we understand that there's an inconvenience factor to our constituents, and we apologize for that, but the folks that have been calling in have been very gracious and shown understanding that human error happens at times. We don't strive for that, but people have been patient and understanding. Wanted to relay that to you.
So the correct bill will have yellow?
If you have 2 that you haven't opened yet, rip up the other one and go with the neon.
Yeah, I was just looking. Mine didn't have any yellow on it.
Excuse me.
And they are available online, so everyone can see their their correct tax bill online. Okay.
Well, it's obvious the people that called me did not call you first.
Yeah,
That's usually
I know.
their issues.
All right. Okay, go ahead.
And Brian's got some charts queued up, but we talked about presenting these as part of the budget public hearing for 2026 budget, and did not do that. So this information comes from the Wisconsin Policy Forum. It's available online. Anybody can click on it. We clicked on it today during our department head meeting, and I'm just going to talk through the slides as Brian flips through them. We can go to the next slide. The first one is general government. So this is sorted, apologies for it being small. The red arrow indicates where the village of Salem Lakes is. On the far left side, you can't see it. Oh, I'm sorry, Brian, can you, or I'll maybe meet where you are. You're on the bottom black slide. Can you go to the top, general government? Right. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so general government comparison by spending. On the left, it's general government per capita dollars, $160 is that top end, and the village of Pleasant Prairie is over there. I'm not throwing shade anywhere. There's just where the other municipalities lie. It's in order: Paddock Lake, Twin Lakes, the village of Bristol, and then us, Salem Lakes, is the third one from the end. This is data from 2023. It's the most recent data that the Policy Forum has out there. They update it every, I believe, August. So this was run today, but it's with the latest data. So August of 25, they'll add the 2024 most recent data. We're just going to click through the slides. Next up is street maintenance. You can see where we lie with, again, per capita spending on, or overall spending.
Can you go through left to right again?
Sure. Twin Lakes, Pleasant Prairie, Bristol, Paddock Lake, Summers, us, and then the city of Kenosha.
And that's one you'd want to see upwards, not downwards, correct?
Yeah, it's the street maintenance spending per capita. So it depends on your perspective, but that's currently we are, they can see where we're spending, what we're spending on roads, infrastructure per capita.
Okay.
Next up is fire EMS. We're third from the last, but again, remember that this is a couple years ago and we have some increased spending in fire. So I anticipate that our slide rule will go to the left, and again, from left to right, it is Bristol, Summers, Kenosha, City of Kenosha, Village of Pleasant Prairie, Salem Lakes, Paddock Lake, and the Twin Lakes for fire. Next up is police. This one doesn't, I don't think will surprise anybody. Police shows Twin Lakes far left. So per capita spending on Twin Lake, they have their own police department. So that checks out from a logic standpoint. Kenosha, Pleasant Prairie, Paddock Lake, Summers, and then we have a contract with the sheriff's department. See where we're at there. Net basic spending. That's just overall spending, and then operating spending.
So we're the lowest. What, go left to right.
Okay, yeah, on operating, we are Kenosha, and the largest municipality in the county. It makes sense. Village of Pleasant Prairie, Summers, Twin Lakes, Bristol, Paddock Lake, and Salem Lakes. Next one is property taxes, and there are two items of note here. The tax levy per capita. So this is the levy is the bar. Pleasant Prairie is far left. Kenosha, Twin Lakes, Summers, Salem Lakes, us, and then Paddock and Bristol. And then the dots reflect the share of residential tax base. So again, I think it makes sense. There aren't a lot of businesses and industry in Salem Lakes. So our dot's pretty high on the close to 100% factor of property taxes generated from residential properties. You can see the other one that's significantly high in that area is Twin Lakes, the third from the right. Going on to shared revenue, City of Kenosha and Pleasant Prairie do pretty well in this area, and then the rest of our communities, including Salem, are pretty flat from the state in shared revenues that received. Debt is an interesting one. This shows from left to right: Pleasant Prairie, Kenosha, Summers, Paddock Lake, Salem Lakes, and Twin Lakes, and then Bristol. And then the dot is as of state levy of the limit. So we're significantly under the limit that is allowed for. Borrowing.
Jay, can you drop back to that last slide a minute? Explain that last statement you just made, that we're under the levy?
Yeah, so two things: the levy limit and borrowing limit. So I was saying we're significantly under our borrowing limit, that we could borrow for way more.
So that is an indication that we've been rather frugal.
Yeah.
Well, certainly conservative from a borrowing standpoint. That shows right around 11% of the total available borrowing that Salem Lakes. And for example, the second one from the right, Kenosha, that dot is almost to 50% of their borrowing limit. So they've used bonding and borrowing debt as a significant portion of what they've needed to do.
With our value being 2,355,000,000, the cap is 5%. If I'm not mistaken. So that would be $100 million. And do you have the number where we're at right now?
Well, this shows 11% of the total borrowing, so a very small amount of that. Yeah.
Very small amount
Of the allowable borrowing extent. Yep.
the 100.
Yeah, I think, Dennis, you're right as far as the
I-
fund balance is next.
I did send the link to all of your email. If you need assistance with it, call Jay or myself. We can walk you through it though. That way you have a better view on your laptops.
Thank you.
Fund balance per capita is the bar, and then as a percentage of net operating spending are the dots. So from left to right, fund balance Pleasant Prairie is in really solid shape per capita. They have a significant amount of fund balance. Summers, Kenosha, Bristol, Paddock Lake, Twin Lakes, and then Salem Lake is at the bottom of this capacity. I think we've used some fund balance over the years. And this is a good measure. This bar graph shares and maybe helps to tell the story a bit why there was a borrowing that occurred in 2026, because there isn't a significant amount of fund balance left to knock out those infrastructure projects that you were hoping to do. And then the last slide on the chart is the one that I incorrectly stated we started with. We're in the middle of it, and that's the income, just residential income. And it's pretty flat, pretty uniform. Pleasant Prairie, Summers, Bristol, Salem Lakes, Paddock Lake, Twin Lakes, and the city of Kenosha. Are there any questions about that? Or like Sarah mentioned, you can certainly talk to us about that over time if you have a chance to review it. It's a pretty neat tool that Policy Forum makes available. You can do some individual comparisons on it, or a countywide comparison like we walked through tonight. The last slide that we have to share with you is our countywide tax rate. Again, it's too small to see, but Sarah sent you the link. You can look at it in more detail. Dennis has done extensive work on tax rate over the years, and I applaud him for that. I've had some fun conversations talking to him about that. What this chart shows, and this is just a chart extracted from the county website. This is the 2024 county tax rates. But the reason that we wanted to show it or bring it to your attention is that it shows significant amount of variability within a tax rate. So Salem Lakes is included in the middle of that chart. And you can see that if you could see it more closely, we have 5 school districts, and the tax rate for 2024 tax rates varied from $13.33 up to $17.15. So as people receive their tax bills, and that the amount has gone up based on referendums passing at the school level, based on a revaluation that occurred on your property, based on the fact that some lake homes in particular, but homes in particular have been selling for a significant amount over assessed value. As that occurs, there's variability within tax bills that you receive and the amount of percent increase that one resident might occur in a given year versus another. This helps to tell that story a little bit as to the why of it, depending on what school district you live in. That will vary based on other school districts that just have lower rates. The overall tax rate for Salem Lakes is the municipal portion, the village portion is $3.18. Again, Dennis has tracked this for many communities over the years. I did do we don't have a chart on it, but I did just do a quick update on the 2025 tax rate. So prospectively, like ours is $3.18, Paddock Lake is $3.22, Town of Bristol $5.11, Village of Twin Lakes $3.25, Pleasant Prairie $4.01. The city of Kenosha is down over the last couple of years, down to $8.46. They were at $12 just on their own over the last few years, but again, a significant drop that they've been able to accomplish, but still at the $8.42. And then Village of Bristol $2.34.
We're the second lowest.
I would say we're the second lowest in the area of the ones that I was able to come up with. And I can answer any questions that you might have, but just wanted to share that regarding, there have been some questions of our team regarding the variability. Why did my taxes go up so much? And so we'll look into that and we'll find that, well, maybe your property is located on a lake and you saw significant assessed value increase, which means that you'll pay more of a share of an increase than somebody not on a lake. And that's good news for you prospectively as your value of your house goes up long term, but in the short term, you might not view it as a positive as you're paying more taxes.
Right. Okay. Dennis, do you want to?
Yeah, we've always reassessed every 2 years. And the company that we use is headed up by Rahul Vida. A number of years ago, the state of Wisconsin passed a law that every county had to do countywide assessing. The only county that did it was Kenosha County. And that developed a budget of $1 million. The state was kicking in about 700,000. When they quit helping finance this, that agency disbanded. And Rocco, with all the information he had, was either going to come to Salem or Pleasant Prairie. It ended up he went to Pleasant Prairie, but he still performs. His company does the assessing for the Village of Salem Lakes, Twin Lakes, and a number of other communities. And every year you do have a border review. This last year we had, I think maybe about 5 citizens came in and questioned their reassessment. And their assessments did not change. It was based on actual sales and comparable properties, and they understood that and accepted the fact that their assessment went up. And that's just, I mean, that's what happened. There are examples for some lakefront homes sold for substantially more than what they were assessing in the last couple of years, and this is caught up to us.
So our mill rate this year is 3.18. And what was it last year?
Pardon?
What was our mill rate?
$2.95, and it's 3.18. It was 23-cent increase.
23 cents.
Yep, and that pays off that $1.9 million that we borrowed to pay it out in 1 year. Twin Lakes, for example, borrowed $2 million and is paying it back over 5 years.
Right, which is more interest.
So they're paying more interest, but
Right. Okay. And then residents who want to dispute their tax bill. Sarah, do we have any meeting dates set up for the
Not the
Board of
2026.
No, there won't be any. They have to go through the assessor's office.
No, we'll have a joint review board. It
Right.
happens yearly. They'll send a date, but it's way too early for that to be scheduled.
Okay. All right.
and what they'll dispute is the assessment.
Correct, right, the assessment that yes, right, okay. All right. Thank you. Number 11, administrator discussion and possible action on the following. 11.1 administrator transition update.
Yeah, just a quick update. Your new administrator is online. He's been joining us throughout the meeting tonight. I had a chance to text him and just confirm that he was on. He said, "Good evening. I can't wait to meet you all in person. It's good to be here." So Michael Kostek is coming and will start on January 5th. I've been in contact. I know some of the board members have been in contact with them. Staff has been in contact with them, welcoming him to the village and preparing him for some of the items like this, that he can hit the ground running when he gets here. I'll be here as well I'll be sitting in the audience on the 5th, and look forward to continuing to assist with the transition.
Great, thank you. 11.2 community library joint operating agreement.
Have that in your packet. That's a factor of the town of Randolph leaving and Randall, thank you, leaving and requiring the revised agreement before you.
So my question as I read that over was, I see we're picking up another spot on their board and they're changing our terms. So we'll have to revise those. Can that wait until April? It cannot. So we need
They're-
to redo those soon.
Well, yeah, they're looking for an answer because they have to send it to the state for state approval before
meant,
they can send
Can
it
we
back.
wait
and
for the
can
appointments until April, or do those have to be done ahead of time? And then how does that work?
Well, it may depend on whether or not they're having meetings and whether it needs to be filled. So we
Yeah.
can certainly look into that, whether it
Okay.
can be adjourned.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with the additional seat and I don't have a problem with the changing of the terms. That will have to be, obviously done, and I have to look at who is on the board currently and what their terms are, and we'll be adjusting those. But, I guess that's the question is, do we need to do that right away or can it wait till the April appointments?
To be honest, I didn't read it to the extent that you did, and I only heard of the new seat when Mr. Barheit stated it. He
Okay.
probably knows more than I do.
Yeah, it's 2 for 2 for 3, 1 for 4. And then after those terms are over, it is 3-year terms. So we don't have, you know, I went through it and I kind of made adjustments on the sheet that I think you have access to. But, you don't?
No, I asked for a clean version and they refused. They stated they had to give me the mocked up version for you
Okay.
to approve. And
And
then they
that's
will
fine.
send it.
I mean, I think
Mhm.
that's fine. I don't have a problem with anything in the agreement personally. But just we'll have to find out if we approve that tonight. Can we wait to do those appointments and leave our vacant spot vacant until the April appointments, or do they need these revised and have a spot that a person there now?
Mhm.
So
I can reach out
if
to
you can
Leanne.
find out, does
In
anyone
their
else?
revisement, they have a massive typo.
Oh.
They need to fix where
Ooh,
their keyboard
didn't
just went. Blah, 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 blah. So.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah.
I did see that.
So they
It's
need
like,
to
yeah,
revise.
yeah,
It's kind of dumb. It's.
but other than that,
Mhm.
I don't have any issues with it, and I make a motion to approve it.
And I'll second it. I didn't have any difficulty with it either when I reviewed it.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, anyone opposed? 11.3, status of boundary agreement with Paddock Lake, expiration thereof and negotiation.
This is related to the TID proposal that was just before you. Just a quick update that our team is in conversation with Paddock Lake on this topic, the sewer extension boundary agreement, and that's really the update. And anything else that I would say would be part of the negotiation. So the update is that we're working with Paddock Lake on these topics, and it'll be part of the TID process and the development proposal moving forward.
That's it. Okay. Okay. Number 12, clerk's office, discussion and possible action on the following. 12.1, approval of minutes from December 2nd, 2025.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
I abstain.
Number 13, closed session. 13.1, closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 1 sub G for purposes of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or may be involved, specifically regarding claims with the Village of Paddock Lake over contractual rights, remedies, and obligations for the heavy rescue fire truck. 13.2, closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 1 sub E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session. Specifically, the status of the boundary agreement between the Village of Salem Lakes and the Village of Paddock Lake expiring on December 20th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Barheit,
Yes.
trustee Brooks.
Yes.
Trustee Polly,
Yes.
trustee Faber,
Yes.
trustee Hopkins.
Yes.
Trustee Gant. And I'm a yes, we're into close. Please turn Okay. 13.3. Reconvene into open session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 2 for possible additional discussion and or action concerning any matter discussed in closed session. We had a motion by trustee Hopkins and a second by trustee Barheit to go into open. Trustee Barheit,
Yes.
trustee Brooks,
Yes.
trustee Polly,
Yes.
trustee Faber,
Yes.
trustee Hopkins.
Yes,
Trustee Gant,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, so we are now back into open.
I make a motion to adjourn.
We have, sorry, closed session. Both closed session items, closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 1 sub G regarding claims with the village of Paddock Lake over contractual rights, remedies, obligations for the heavy rescue fire truck, and closed session item pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 1 sub E for the status of the boundary agreement between the village of Salem Lakes and the village of Paddock Lake expiring December 20th, 2026. We have nothing to report. Yep.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Hopkins and Polly, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, we're